Alrighty guys, patch notes are out, and the patch will be live in about 45 minutes from when this video goes live, so you best be ready for these changes. We have quite a few of them, and they will definitely be toning down the meta a lot for the new expansion to come, so this will definitely be shaking up the meta quite a lot. I did just give you guys a top 5, and I guess that's kinda going down the drain now, but I guess I will be doing a new one in a few days from now, so hold on tight for that one, and definitely join the giveaway. If you enjoy the content and find what I'm doing helpful, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can have some Hearthstone coaching, as well as check out my Hearthstone Metafy courses. Now, let's check out the patch.
You are not prepared!
Okay, we can see Meren at the top. Obviously, we did actually see it in the patch teaser. We saw all of the patch teasers basically, so now we get to see what are the actual changes. I totally slept on the teaser, by the way, sorry for that, but totally missed it out. Anyway, Hearthstone changes. Dev comment, this round of changes is focusing on preparing for our next expansion, The Great Dark Beyond, launching on November 5th, when Prince Renatal rotates back out to Standard. As we plan for the post-launch meta, our focus is primarily on adjusting harsh play patterns like board floods, powerful board wipes, huge life swings, and cards that get endgame cards out too quickly. Some of these are revisions of our prior changes. Our balance philosophy remains that we will try to make the best changes for the game in each specific patch window, and not to be afraid to revert changes when they don't work out or the circumstances are no longer right for them. Finally, in Wild, we're changing Radiant Elemental to be consistent with Sorcerer's Apprentice, finally. This effect is generally very powerful, even by Wild standards, and this change has been made with upcoming cards in mind. With this change, we're also unbanning Crimson Clergy to give him another shot to not get himself rebanned. The following cards have been adjusted to be weaker. Starting off with Yogg-Saron, he's gonna be a 10 mana, and that does make sense. He has been quite the big board swing, quite the big board clear, and also quite the RNG bullshit if you ask me, but that's still gonna be the case. He's just gonna be a 10 mana drop, and to be honest, he's still gonna be as used as always. Yogg is just way too good not to be used, but sitting at 10 mana, that's gonna be definitely a little bit easier to handle, because he is just way too good of a control tool, and every control deck, every mid-range deck basically runs him, and that's not gonna really change, but the power level to it is gonna be slightly lower. Moving now to some of the Meren changes. Wondrous Wand, generated by Meren the Manager, shocking I know. Now it's gonna be drawing free cards and reduce their cost by 3. That's actually quite the huge nerf, because no longer are they gonna be able to do 0 mana Renos, 0 mana big removals, 0 mana refresh 9 mana crystals, Titans, all of that nonsense, no more. It's only gonna be reducing down by 3, so you're no longer gonna be as sad of actually drawing your cheaper cost idiots, because at least they're gonna be down to 0 in most cases. Definitely a very needed change again. Neutral legendary that gets fit into literally basically any deck, like even some of the aggro decks were using this shit. Definitely deserved the nerf. And honestly, they took their sweet time with this one. Yeah, it was fun blasting some 0 mana 10 costs, but it was just a little bit too high on the power level, and also with 0 requirements to Meren, it was just way too good to be true. We can also see Puppet Master Dorian is taking a hit in this one. He is also kind of weird on this list, to be honest. I don't think he was that big a problem lately, at least. I mean, yeah, in the Maxibon OTK Druid, he was definitely quite the powerhouse, but I don't think that's gonna change much. He is gonna be a 5-drop nowadays. Sounds like an okay thing. Druids have been pretty abusive with this one, like dropping this on 4 into a turn 5 Summer Flower Child. That was pretty disgusting, or especially if you actually drop this on turn 4 with a couple of Desert Nest Matrons, that was absolutely bullshit. Yeah, going up to 5 mana, I guess that sounds fair. No objections on my part. He's still gonna get used, and decks that love using him, but it's just gonna be one turn later where the big bullshit is starting to happen. We can also see aggro is taking a hit here with Treasure Distributor, and he is no longer gonna be gating the attack alongside with the pirates that get summoned. He's just gonna give the others +1. I guess that's fair. This guy didn't get to go face much, but when he did, he basically decided the game, because that was usually +4, +5 extra damage like that. And in a lot of cases, that was the difference between life and death, so happy to see that aggro Pirate Demon Hunter is gonna get toned down, even though right now Renatal was toning him down either way. But let's not forget Renatal is leaving in a couple of weeks, so after that, this card probably would have still been a problem, and I guess they're seeing into the future and how the new expansion is gonna pan out. They were afraid that this pirate was gonna still be quite massive after everybody lost the +10 health out of Renatal. We can also see Party Fiend getting a tone down, so Painlock and Insanity Warlock are not going to be as happy. And this thing is going to be a 2-mana 2-1 that summons a couple of 1-1s. So yeah, definitely huge nerf. If it was summoning a couple of 2-1s, would have been literally the same thing, but now just increasing +1 attack with +1 mana, it is quite the big nerf. Still going to be a usable card, I'd say, but not as much, obviously. This thing was absolutely huge, allowing you to actually do literally turn 1/7 minions on the board with a couple of these with the coin and a 2/2 Blood Treant. And that also gave huge discounts to Ziliax. That was a very massive thing that they could have been doing before. Like even turn 2, empty board, you just coin out a couple of these Party Fiends plus Ziliax, and that's a full board of 2/2s and a free 5. So that was indeed quite the big play, and that'll be no longer the case. Crescendo has also taken a big hit here with 1 extra mana, so no more 0 mana full board clear, full heal with the help of Popgar. It's gonna be a 5 mana now. But still, Crescendo, this would be quite the big nerf to Insanity Warlocks indeed, because they don't just cast a couple of Crescendos. If things go their way, they usually cast 6, 8, like depending on how much Fizzle Snapshot you actually manage to get, or just get a few pupils. You were able to actually do quite the big Crescendo plays that way. And you still can, it's just gonna cost you about 1 extra mana, so not a small nerf by any means. And speaking about no small nerfs, we also have the biggest offender, Tsunami. Tsunami is gonna get reverted back to an 8 mana summon free water idiots, and that is definitely very, very big stuff. I do believe Orb Mage is still gonna be a good deck. I still believe they're gonna be very, very powerful, just not as powerful, and also people are gonna stop playing the deck as much. And I really don't get why they even buffed this thing in the first place, knowing what they were about to release a couple of weeks after they released the mini set with the Rogue Mage Tourist, and that was just absolute nonsense. Like, why would you buff this thing knowing it's gonna be coming down to 0 on turn frickin' 5? It is beyond me. So yeah, reverting this back to an 8 mana summon 3/6s is going to be quite the huge hit. The Orb Mages, the Big Spell Mages, all of the lot. And if you guys saw from the last top 5, that was basically all of the best decks were a Big Spell Mage variation. Speaking of all the best decks, we also see Razzle Dazzler getting his buff reverted, and he's going back to a 7-drop. Honestly, I feel like that is warranted as well. I do believe the card is still going to be quite decent. And I do believe the card was actually decent before the buff even, but people just did not explore that archetype before because it seemed a little bit too far-fetched. With this guy going back to 7, with all of the other changes combined, I still believe it's going to be a decent, strong enough deck. And this is going to be a hit to things like Death Knights, the Shamans, but I still believe both other classes are going to be doing just fine, with Razzle Dazzler included. So I guess time will tell how severe or non-severe this change will be for the classes. And lastly, for Standard, we also have Injured Caller. Very, very happy to see this change. This guy is no longer going to be dealing 2 damage, but he's only going to be dealing 1 damage to all enemy minions. And this is a huge change. Like, this thing was just way too insane in Overheal Priest, which was a pretty high skill cap deck, I'll give him that. And also, it's actually not doing that amazing right now, at least I don't think it is. Haven't really seen much of it in Top Legend lately, and it's not showing up in the stats either, as much at least. But once people go back to 30 health after Renfall leaves, this deck was still probably going to be quite massive for the new expansion launch, so they preemptively nerfed it, and honestly, they took their sweet time with this one as well. Like, I really hated this deck, and I refused to play it myself, so I was not at all happy when I faced this thing, I can tell you that much. So with this only dealing 1 damage now, this should be a lot more bearable. And the last nerf, this one is for Wilds, is for the Radiant Elemental, which is no longer going to be discounting spells under 1 mana, which is pretty huge. No longer are we going to be seeing turn 4 OTKs basically with this thing. That was just way too broken even for Wilds. Again, it did take a little bit more than a hat trick to pull shit like that off, but not much more than a hat trick, let's be honest. So this guy is basically gonna be like Sorcerer's Apprentice now, which also the devs took their sweet time with that one too, but finally we can see no less than 1 is starting to become the standard. The above disenchant cards plus Heist Baron Togwaggle will be eligible for full dust refund for 2 weeks following patch 30.6.2. Heist Baron Togwaggle? Why? Am I missing something? Was he also giving the wand or some shit? Because God knows nobody in their right mind was using that card. I'm not even sure what that card is anymore. But either way, keep that in mind. Definitely check if you have them in your refund collection. Just write refund in your collection and that's gonna pop up all of the cards that got nerfed for you. And you can disenchant them, and it's always a good idea to disenchant all of the cards that got nerfed, as long as you're not literally using them right now. Because right now you are getting your full dust refunds, whereas if you decide you don't want to play them in a couple of weeks from now, you're no longer going to get that full refund. So get your dust and use it to something you actually want to be playing. We can also see Golden Kobold is getting a buff. Now he's actually going to be replacing the hand with legendary minions, but they will cost 1 less. So yeah, the monkey was definitely a last-ditch resort. When all else fails, you just roll the dice with a bunch of random bullshit, and sometimes it's stuck, other times not so much. With the -1, that's definitely gonna feel a lot better. And lastly, we can also see Crimson Clergy is getting back in Wild. Honestly, I didn't even know he was not in there, but don't play much Wild now, do I? That's about it for the changes. What does this mean for the meta? Time will definitely tell. I do believe things like Tourist Pally should be doing a lot better now. Hand Buff Pally is gonna be doing a lot better now. Hunter might actually have a lot more breathing room now with Spell Token Hunter and such. Secret Hunter as well for the lower ranks should be working just fine. Maybe some Corpsicle Death Knights are going to be rising up. Honestly, I'm just spitballing here. I'm going to be going live today right after the patch goes live and 45 minutes from the video. So do drop by the Twitch stream and help us brainstorm what the new best decks are going to be looking like. Anyway, that's going to be it for the video, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing after the patch comes through. If you're serious about Hearthstone and like what I'm doing, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can have some Hearthstone coaching, as well as check out my Metafied Group's courses. Thanks for watching, I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.